Hi, this is Ashley Aaron, and this is ArtConvos, and today we are talking to Rhianna Lee, who makes
A little bit of everything. Leather, wood, metals, ceramic, even though I don't have a ceramic studio right now. But mostly leather at this point, and crochet.
craft can totally, I feel like, go into a artistic thing. I've got these like cat caves, and that one's deflated at the moment. It's like a felted cat cave that I bought whenever it is actually standing up and
It's made with some
not
artistry to it.
got a cat in it. Like, it's just like, this is amazing. And then you put a cat in it, and then it becomes funny because there's a cat inside the mouth of another cat. I totally feel like that has some artistry to it and is more than decoration, but is not necessarily like art.
With craft, I think the designation of a trade, because it's a trade skill, some craft that you would learn. I think that could be considered into the discussion. I think felting could definitely be considered a trade skill. Same with hand dyeing and all that goes into consideration.
Yeah, we don't put enough emphasis on different crafts. It's more like, hey, the internet teaches you everything, and it's like, no.
Not quite.
Sometimes people have to teach you things.
I originally went to Memphis College of Art for illustration, and before I moved here, I just on the whim took a pottery class. It was a sip and spin. You had some wine and spun some pottery. My mom wanted to go, so we went, and I just fell in love with it. And so I moved on to sculpture after I decided that I needed some of that in my life, and I've just been sculpting ever since, I guess.
Yeah.
So I've been on the fine art side, and I've been more on the crafty side.
I like to touch like fabrics, and that's why I'm teaching myself how to cross stitch. And I may at some point pick back up embroidery, and
I just want the time to sit and embroider.
so I have this ongoing project that integrates cotton prints with essentially like a granny square Afghan. In part of my research for that, like researching the women of G's Bend who do quilting, but they do like these fabulous quilts. They're not in a grid. It's, like I have this
Multiple
weird
different
shaped
shapes.
piece of cloth. I'm not going to alter it. I'm just going to throw it in there. And
So what would be another? So we've decided what craft is and what, I guess, kind of decoration, and where does art come into play?
I feel like art can be utilitarian, but is not typically. Not necessarily made for its aesthetic value, but it can be bought for it or purchased because of the feeling that it evokes in the person, which is not so much why you would buy crafts usually. Like, I don't buy a knitted hat because it like gives
Makes
me
you
a
feel.
feeling other than, hey, my head's warm.
Yeah.
I may buy it for its aesthetic quality, in that, hey, I look cute in this hat. But like, that's really like not deep.
Yeah. Two, with fine art, there's a lot to do with whose name is attached to it, especially in the gallery world.
Yeah.
But I think there is a level of aesthetic that, people will be like, oh, that is art because of the way it looks, or the way it was, the technique, if we're talking about painting.
Yeah. One of the things too, especially with fine art that's in a gallery type setting, is it has a price tag that's always attached to it. But you buy this painting at $9,000, and the painting's almost always going to be worth $9,000 or more. You get a knit cap, price is $20, $40, $50, $100. Then you use it,
Price goes down.
price goes down, it becomes a used item. It might
Yeah.
become a vintage item if it's kept in good enough shape. Fine art doesn't do that, typically.
Yeah.
People who are not in gallery settings, who do like sales for their fine art things, don't necessarily realizing they're doing a disservice to the person who spent full price on something, and then all of a sudden you're like dropping the price of your work.
Mhm.
You're like saying that your work is worth less. Because even with like a decoration, you go buy some sort of tchotchke from the store that you're like, yeah, I can put this on my mantle. I'm so excited. Even if it's like a bookend, you buy something from Think Geek, like anywhere, and you're like, yeah. And then the price goes down because now you've bought it, you've opened it, like you've used it, like.
You know, something kind of bothers me about that, because it's something to look at, and just because you've set it on a shelf and have been looking at it for however long doesn't really mean that it's worth less. When I think about decorations, I think of not just holiday decorations, even though that is a big part of it, but also just like the little kitschy trinkets that people, put around their house.
Yeah, like Funko Pop. That's decoration.
Yeah.
But then also these things I feel like are
Curtains.
They're totally functional, but they're decoration.
Yeah.
Because you could get some with like really big pizzazz, you could get some like different
Multi-layered.
textures.
Yeah.
You could do all sorts of things there. Like that's decoration though. Art is a skill. And craft is a skill. And making little tchotchkes is a skill, which is why you should always pay for them.
Agreed.